Force will be with you, always.
This is the podcast you're looking for. Get it? To our listeners, I've just sat here for 10 minutes trying to come up with something to say. Welcome to episode 8 of the CineChat podcast. It's Star Wars week in honour
Yay!
of episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, coming out this week. So we're going to pack a lot into this episode, aren't we?
Yes.
We are going to give a bit of an overview of the saga as a whole, 3 trilogies of films, including a bit of a spoiler-free review of episode 9. And we're also going to be looking at not only what our favourite film is overall, but also what our favourite characters are as well. And we're going to compare that to our votes from you listeners. Before we do that, as we always do, we haven't got any news this week, but we do have some fantabulous trailers. The first one we should probably mention is the Top Gun sequel, which is Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
And it's kind of crazy, in a good way.
I am not excited at all, actually.
How come?
Do you know, I don't know what it is. I feel like the older I'm getting, the more upset I feel about sequels that are being done like 20 years after or 30 years after the original. Just upsets me. But this one, it just didn't need anything else. It was a great hit in 1986 and it made Tom Cruise's career and blah, blah, blah. But he's moved on, he's doing other things and he's an old man now. I'm not even sure he would be allowed to fly fighter planes at his age.
It's another excuse to push himself again in terms of stunts.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's been doing it recently when he did Mission Impossible Fallout, flying the helicopter. Obviously, in this one, they're now all in fighter jets and they're flipping all over the place, and there's G-force everywhere.
It looked impressive. It did look impressive. And in terms of actors, there's quite a few faces in there, but I'm just not sure. I don't even know if I'll go to the cinema to see this. I might just wait till it comes out.
It does look a little bit thin on plot. Bear in mind that was like the main trailer, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
More about spectacle, I think. And it looks like the beach volleyball is back. So
Yeah, well, it has to be, doesn't it? You can't have Top Gun without beach volleyball.
Yeah, no 80s soundtrack, I'm guessing, though.
Yeah, that's
That'll
going
be
to be
missing.
interesting.
Another mini trailer that we got this week, which I think you'd be very happy about, is A Quiet Place 2.
Yes, I'm happy about this one.
It did look good.
It gave absolutely nothing. It did nothing. It showed you that 3 people are still in it from the last one, but that's about it. And that is all you need.
It is the most effective teaser trailer I've seen in a long time, because unusually it doesn't show us anything that we didn't already see in the original film. You could argue the same for Top Gun, I guess. But it reminds us of that unique atmosphere that the first one created.
Tense.
That's it, yeah, and it's screaming at us, it's not over.
Yeah.
Without screaming anything.
Nothing, no words, nothing, completely quiet, which obviously is the point. And about to take that step into basically the unknown. That was very exciting. I cannot wait. That was my top film of last year. Absolutely loved it. One of the best experiences I've had in a cinema for years.
Silence is definitely underrated in films. It just goes to show how powerful it can actually be. And then the last big major trailer that came out this week, and finally we can see something. I'm really excited because I'm really intrigued. Christopher Nolan's Tenet. It's very clearly a Christopher Nolan concept, but for some reason it has a very different feel, and I don't know whether that's partially down to the whole cast overhaul. It's all very different. You get Michael Caine and Kenneth Branagh, who look to be in very small supporting roles.
A few familiars, yeah.
Yeah. With films like Inception and Interstellar, you kind of knew what you were getting. You knew that one was about dream worlds and one was about interdimensional space travel. But with this one, it's a brand new concept. And it starts to show how it's going to fit into this international espionage genre.
I didn't like the trailer. It is the only Christopher Nolan film I'm not actually in the least bit bothered about seeing. I got nothing from it. I don't understand it. I don't like not understanding what I'm getting, and that affects how I feel about anticipation for the film. And I don't know. I just don't like John David Washington very much, and I'm not a big espionage fan.
I think it could be a bit like a Bond film, but with time travel. Actually, we say time travel, it's not really. It's more like time bending.
Yeah.
Being able to manipulate time in order to see how things happen or to rewind events, and I like that.
Well, it remains to be seen. I will stay skeptical for now, but we'll see.
So, Top Gun Maverick, A Quiet Place 2, and Tenet are our trailers this week.
So, Matt, my first question to you is, how do you feel about Star Wars as a whole?
I like it. I don't know. I was not as into them as maybe I could have been at a younger age. I've managed to jump on the bandwagon now.
Good.
You make your own connection with it, don't you?
Yeah.
Over time. But I did realise this week that I actually haven't seen some of them since I was about 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
So it did take a little bit of research to work out what was going on, because the ones that I hadn't seen were actually probably the most complicated ones plot-wise. So I feel like I'm more up to date now. But because there's such a massive divide between people, obviously there's some mega fans and there's people who absolutely hate it. It's harder to place yourself, because it's like, if you say I like it, that doesn't really even cut it in terms of
Fandom.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest fandoms out there. It pretty much created it, didn't it? Which is a great place to take us into the original trilogy. So that leads from 1977 with A New Hope, and they then had The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi, which ended the trilogy in 1983. So the impact that it had, revolutionary.
Oh yeah.
Because it changed a genre entirely. I mean, before you had serious sci-fi, you had 2001: A Space Odyssey in 1968 and Planet of the Apes and things like that. They were very serious. And then here comes George Lucas with basically what is based on those adventure serial shorts that they used to play before movies in like the 1930s. And it was for kids, which is actually quite ironic, because it's the adults that have absolutely took it on board, and they show their kids.
Yeah.
It's become this huge thing. A New Hope sold 178 million tickets domestically. Like, I mean, wow. I mean, it's just, it created the modern blockbuster. You can't get much bigger than that, can you?
No, that's carried on right up until today, and obviously 42 years later. What's interesting, I think, is that it defined a generation in general back then, but it's gone on to do the same for 2 more generations of people.
It really has just carried on, not just because of the trilogies. I think even if they hadn't made any more Star Wars films, it would have been one of those things that just got reintroduced to every generation. It's just one of those things that just lasts.
It kind of has a bit of everything.
Yeah.
At its core, it's a very simple modern fairy tale,
Exactly.
really.
It's for kids. It's you know, it's simple. There's a good and a bad, and they're fighting for the win, basically.
And just memorable characters.
Yeah.
And so many of them. It's impossible not to identify with one of them.
I mean, it's very well known, though, that before A New Hope came out, that everybody thought it was going to flop.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was using technology that hadn't been done before, and just none of this had been seen. And it's a well-known story that he showed it, George Lucas, to his filmmaking friends and all these amazing directors who looked at it and just went, what on earth have you done? This is absolute trash. You can't release this film. It's going to absolutely bomb. Apart from Steven Spielberg, who said this is going to change the face of cinema. And he was absolutely right, and he took points in it, and he's still earning money on it today. Very smart man.
From the outside, it must have looked like a lot of money was being injected into a story format that had only ever really been used for like cheap B movies.
Yeah.
But they never were financial successes.
Yeah. And the first one looks like a B movie as well. It actually looks like a B movie. It doesn't have the glossy look, like completely finished. It really does look like they've just popped on these costumes and you know, they've gone out somewhere and they're just filming this thing. And to be honest, pretty much that's what they did.
Yeah.
Alec Guinness, who was actually in the movie playing Obi-Wan Kenobi, and who was a huge star, had no idea what he was doing. And was only doing it because he got paid a lot of money and I think he just thought, what on earth am I doing making this crap?
It's credit then to the story and foundation that was made that then enabled it to springboard into something so much more. And, you know, the films that we do get now obviously are much more polished.
Yeah.
And a lot more money's put into them.
One of the other things that it's done for cinema and entertainment as a whole as well, it changed marketing and fandom.
Yeah.
George Lucas was extremely clever, and I mean he was taking a huge risk at the time, but he bought the rights to the marketing, to all of the toys and everything that was going to be made, all the merchandise off the studio, because he needed some way of finishing the film. And oh my God, he's made billions because it just changed how things work. I mean, they made lunchboxes and action figures and bedspreads and everything you could think of. They have Star Wars in them. It became that much of a phenomenon.
It sort of sparked everyone's imaginations, I think.
Yeah.
And everyone wanted to be part of it, which is why they've been bought into it, I guess.
Yeah.
And they all wanted that piece of it. Again, just more testament to the universality of what the story's actually about and who the characters are.
Yeah, we've got to mention.
What about the music? Oh, were you going to say music as well?
I was just going to say we have got to talk about John Williams.
Yeah.
I know Jaws is fantastic, and that came out 2 years before, but I mean, this kind of cemented him.
Yeah. Where Jaws is actually a very straightforward, but nonetheless very clever musical ploy, Star Wars is actually extremely complex, and he's come up with so many different themes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like there's one main theme tune that you hear all the time. Every character's almost got a theme, and in the newer ones you can hear elements of the older ones, but they've been reworked to fit the new generation. Yeah, it's brilliant, and he's done all 9 films.
Nothing beats that opening fanfare.
No.
Basically, this cheesy little bit of writing telling you a little bit about the story, but nothing beats that opening. It's just this thrill. I was sat there this morning and that music came on and I just grinned like a 5-year-old. It was it just does something to you, that music. It's fantastic.
It's that idea of imagination again that takes you in.
So let's move on to the prequels then, which were The Phantom Menace started, that was 1999, and then that trilogy finished in what we thought was finished in 2005 with Revenge of the Sith. These films don't have a very good reputation.
No.
Which I think is extremely unfair. The Phantom Menace is okay, but there are some I mean, the battle at the end, the lightsaber fight between Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. I mean, oh my God, it sped the fighting up. I mean, that's the one thing I have a problem with the original trilogy, is the lightsaber battles too slow. And the thing I love about the prequels is they were proper fights. So it was like
Absolutely.
It was like gymnastics. It was absolutely amazing. So I think they get a really bad rep, actually.
There are good and bad things about that trilogy, but you very rarely hear about the good things. They let themselves down a little bit. And it's a shame, actually, because they were doing a lot of experimentation at the same time.
Absolutely. It was digital filmmaking coming into it.
Yeah.
Taking precedent over everything else.
Yeah. This was the same year that The Matrix came out, and we talk about The Matrix being the really big innovator for lots of special effects and CGI work, but you kind of can't deny that Star Wars weren't the same in what they were doing. I think they had the first fully CG character, and that was obviously Jar Jar Binks.
People are going to hate me for saying that, but I really like Jar Jar Binks. I've never understood the hate that Jar Jar Binks gets. I think he's funny.
There's a mixture of people not liking the character and people not liking the fact that he doesn't look like a real character, but at the same time, like, do we have to give them credit for doing something brand new that hadn't been done before, or do we have to see it as a negative and say, that's not as good as what Star Wars we know can do?
A lot of people talk about the acting in the prequels as well, saying I mean, but to be honest, the originals are cheesy, and Mark Hamill's never going to be an Oscar-winning performer, you know, and they weren't. That's just part of what the Star Wars films are. They are quite cheesy, and the dialogue's not exactly great, and the acting's never going to win Oscars. But I quite like it, and I have to put in a note for my sister Leah, because she has been in love with Anakin Skywalker for probably about 18 years.
I think we all have been at least at one point.
Yeah. Oh, she is
a
die-hard Anakin Skywalker fan.
I've seen Hayden Christensen in other things, and he's not that bad.
He does not get a good reputation for acting at all, but I think this killed it for him, really. I think people just, I don't know, they took a disliking to him doing these, and he's never really recovered from it.
But what was going on in the direction of these films? You know, these are things that should be picked up on and worked on over time. You know, if something doesn't go right, you know, you do it again.
Well, look at the likes of Natalie Portman. I mean, she doesn't even talk about Star Wars anymore. You know, it's not something they like to talk about. I think the main problem I have with the prequels, because I like the prequels. They are my Star Wars films, really, because they're the films I grew up with. I mean, I was,
we saw them.
7 or 8 years old in 1999. I went to the cinema to see them. I remember going. I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith in the cinema when I was about 11 years old, 12 years old, whatever I was, and being devastated when Anakin's lovely hair got burnt off at the end. I was just, I felt those
Not the
things. They
hair.
weren't I know, I love the hair. But the one thing I have a problem with is George Lucas's tinkering. He's constantly going back to them and messing with them and changing
them.
scenes and doing this, that, and the other. And he does it with the originals as well, which is
Yeah.
thought of as even worse because they're like, you don't mess with those films. But I just wish he'd like kind of leave them alone. And I mean, to an extent, he has now because he's left it all. He's sold Lucasfilm and he's very much left the building, shall we say. My one thing that I did really, really like that they did, that he went back and to do, was in Return of the Jedi, right at the very end when you see the Force ghosts. They replaced the original Anakin Skywalker actor with Hayden Christensen.
That makes sense.
That was Anakin as he was, and I love that. I really, really appreciate that as a fan. So we then have a 10-year break. We thought we were done.
It could have ended there.
And then we have a new trilogy, which is actually finishing off the whole story. Because apparently, now I don't know if I believe this, but apparently he had 9 stories in the first place.
I think he planned 12 originally. He changed it to 9.
Oh, I hope so.
You could very easily have not had these 3.
Yeah.
You got 4, 5, 6, and then you got that gap filled with 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
That became a set then.
Yeah. These were an addition, a real addition. You didn't need them at all.
I do quite appreciate how they've linked themselves in a way.
Yes, I like it, yeah.
It's a little bit too much, son of this person, daughter of this person, granddaughter of this person, grandson of this,
The fan servicing.
Yeah. At the same time, though, they had to introduce a new set of main characters, and on the most part, I wasn't convinced initially, but they seemed like they did work.
If I'm going to be really, really honest, I like Rey. She's okay. I like her. But I could not care less about Poe or Finn whatsoever.
Really?
I went to see the old characters because I wanted to see Luke and I wanted to see Leia and Han. That is what I wanted, and that's what I've got from the films. The Last Jedi gets a terrible rep. People just did not like that movie. I mean, The Force Awakens got quite good reviews, I think, for the most part. People said it was very similar to A New Hope and they were just rehashing old ground. But to be honest, I don't mind that. I think you needed that after so much time. Yeah, forget the prequels. Really, you're going back to the original story. That really worked for me. So I really enjoyed Force Awakens. But The Last Jedi, God, people just did not take that whatsoever.
Yeah. When I saw it in the cinema, I came out and I was kind of like...
I enjoyed it when I saw it. I haven't seen it since, though.
I watched it again this week and I really struggled to get through it. It just felt so off topic. The whole film, essentially, is... They're all on the ship and they're trying to get away from the First Order who are kind of tracking them and they can't get away and they're running out of fuel.
But the only other bit I remember,
Yeah,
apart from that, is the weird casino bit with Finn and going to this random place, which I didn't like. I thought that could have been completely cut.
It feels like it takes up the most part of the film.
Yeah, but I did love what they did with Luke, especially towards the end, and him with Kylo Ren, and I love that. I thought that interaction and what they did with him at the end, and I really, really thought that worked. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I really liked that.
I watched a video earlier today that said why The Last Jedi is a complete cinematic flop. And I do recommend watching it because they do pick up on a lot of interesting things. And the main recurring element that a lot of people didn't enjoy was that they were setting a lot of things up and then going, whoop, only joking, and there'd be a twist. They just twisted everything.
Yeah. But I really want to move into our review of episode 9.
Yeah.
Oh, I honestly, the feels.
You got a lot of feels.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. I'll be honest. It's never going to be in my top Star Wars films because I didn't think the first half was very good. It was just very meh. It was okay.
You've got to get into it. It kind of drops you right in the middle of something.
There wasn't really a lot to kind of grasp hold of. I was struggling to kind of get there with it, but then my God, did they make up for it in the second half? I mean, people say J.J. Abrams isn't very good at endings, but oh my God, I'm sorry, but that was a good ending.
It was good. I think a lot of people would see it as not cop out, but doing the traditional thing of throwing everything at it and hoping that equals good.
It was very fan friendly.
Yeah.
But it did things that not were unexpected, but that I didn't think I would be able to get on board with, but I was. It's very hard to say that without spoiling anything.
It's good at taking you on the journey, whether or not you agree with it.
Yes, I would just like to say, oh my God, Adam Driver is having one hell of a year this year. He's, had what I think is an absolutely fantastic Star Wars film. I mean, he was good in this. I really, really liked this.
I've liked him in all three of them.
I did, but he's just, you love to hate, don't you, in the character, and that's.
See, I've never hated him.
Well, he's one of those, isn't he? He's like Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker was supposed to be the baddie, but you always really liked Anakin Skywalker.
He was meant to be the goodie that went bad, and Kylo Ren's the baddie that is struggling not to be good.
There were so many moments where I punched my sister, and well, not punched, but I grabbed hold of her in the cinema, and I was just like, oh! There were so many times.
She's dead now.
Yeah, she might have bruised. We are going again on Boxing Day, though, because we want to see it again. So I hope that I'm going to feel the same way about it with time.
Yeah. Oscar Isaac, who played Poe Dameron, actually had a good thing to say. He said it's like an epic galactic chess match that's been going on since way back when, and now it's finally starting to make sense. I kind of like that because there's parts of the film that reach back a lot further than you're expecting it to. It doesn't just branch back to the last two films, but it branches back to both former trilogies as well. A couple of extra things that I liked. Obviously, Carrie Fisher died before this film, and previously we've seen her being recreated and
always a bit questionable.
Yeah, whereas in this one they used archive footage from bits that they didn't use from the last films. I don't know how they repurposed it so well, but it was seamless. You wouldn't have known.
It makes me wonder what they were going to film in the first ones. Really, I wondered what these scenes had come from. Really, it did work for me. It's never enough of her, though, is it? It's never enough.
It sounds like they planned for each of the films in this trilogy to focus on one of the original characters. So Han Solo got a lot of Episode 7. Luke got a lot of Episode 8, and then sadly she didn't get round to it.
I wonder what it would have been like if she hadn't, like how they would have gone. I don't think it would have been much different, though, to be honest.
No, they managed to still get her in.
I don't think a lot of it would have changed. So I think it's probably a good time to announce what the people's favourite Star Wars film is.
Yeah, that's right.
What did they say? Because I don't know.
No, you don't know. There is a clear winner. In joint fourth place, 3 films. We've got 1 vote for Rogue One, 1 vote for The Rise of Skywalker, the new one, and 1 vote for The Phantom Menace. So 3 completely different choices there. In joint third place, we have Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and for the option that was I don't know / none of them.
Right, okay.
You can take that however you want. Obviously, I know my mum's one of them, and I know that I was the other one. So I know where they came from. Then second place, Episode 4, A New Hope, and Episode 8, The Last Jedi, which I was very surprised about.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
A joint second place. It's mad, isn't it? A lot of people like the 8th one because it was subverting every expectation, but at the same time, that's not always a good thing.
I'm going to have to rewatch it now.
I think you should, and then realise why that's not accurate. Yeah. However, we've had a clear winner.
Okay.
So I can officially announce that with 45.83 recurring % of the vote, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, is unsurprisingly the people's favourite.
I'm not surprised by that whatsoever.
No. It's one of the rare films, really, where a sequel was better than the original. That's what they say, anyway.
It's kind of started that trend where it was like, oh my God, wow. Funnily enough, George Lucas didn't direct the film because he directed the first one, and he kind of handed over the reins for The Empire Strikes Back, and it was an amazing movie. I'm not saying that George Lucas isn't very good, but obviously having that extra person to collaborate with really worked.
So do you have a favourite?
Do you know what? I really, really struggled because I like all of them, but there are parts of all of them that I don't like.
Yeah, this is what I thought.
I would have to watch them all. Like every time I watch them, I think I'm not sure about this one, and then I watch it and I go, "Oh, actually, do you know I really like that one." So it's really hard to pick. So I went with A New Hope.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that it's where it all started. So that's the one I went with.
I was torn really between saying, do I just say episode 5 as well, knowing that objectively it is probably the best, but we were asking what your favourite is, and I think the reason I put I don't know or I can't choose is because, you see it as a whole, they're all pieces of a puzzle that go together, so to say that one's better than the others, I don't know.
Very, very hard.
Although it's not to say that you can't pinpoint the ones which are bad.
I don't think any of them are purely bad. I really don't.
No.
Okay, so we'll go into probably a very interesting list, I would imagine, on your part. I think mine's pretty standard. Top 5 Star Wars characters from 5 to 1.
Yeah.
And then we'll reveal what the listeners said. So, Matt,
Yes.
who is number 5 on your list?
Okay, 1 second. I think I'm deciding to change my number 1 and number 2 spot around. I have to go with my heart. Right. I must say, yeah, this is a strange list. It's not based off what I think's the best. It's not based off what I think's the most iconic. It's based on what I enjoy watching the most. My number 5 is Poe Dameron.
Wow.
He was an instant fan favourite from the beginning of The Force Awakens. Maybe not for you.
No, not for me.
Originally, apparently, he was intended to be killed off in the first 20 minutes of that film, which I think speaks volumes as to his popularity and his potential. He's not too dissimilar from the appeal that people got from Han Solo, I think. He's this sort of handsome, confident, rebellious.
Sometimes he doesn't make the best decisions.
However, he is framed by this legendary status of being the best pilot in the Resistance, and he doesn't half live up to that. We talked about this new set of main characters, unlike Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, who were relatively unknown. Oscar Isaac kind of already had a bit of a career going for him.
Yes.
He had Ex Machina and Inside Llewyn Davis as well. So I think he brought a bit of star quality to that as well.
Yeah.
I just find him really fun to watch, very charismatic.
I do not have a number 5 because I was like, oh my God, but who'd you choose out of what's left?
Well, who are the two that you were struggling between?
Oh, I'm very, very torn between picking Chewie or probably Luke, maybe.
Right. You can abstain from a 5th choice, I suppose.
No, I'll make it Chewie. I just like Chewie on screen. When Chewie's on screen, I just really like it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Chewie. Sorry, Luke.
Okay.
Didn't quite make the cut.
Sorry, Luke.
He's a bit of a drip in the first ones, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going with Chewie.
Okay, no worries. Okay, my number 4 then used to be my number 1. I brought it down a couple of layers after layers. And the only reason I had him initially as my number 1 is because I'd always said that he was my favourite character. But looking back and on reflection, there's not a lot of evidence really to why that should be the case. So Darth Maul was my number 4 now.
Oh, wow, okay.
I absolutely love Darth Maul.
He's pretty badass.
Well, he is, yeah. And he's interesting because he has minimal dialogue. He was barely in it.
No, at all.
And he was cemented as like a legendary character in an otherwise badly received film. When I was little, I always thought when they said the Phantom Menace that they were referring to Darth Maul because I didn't pick up on a lot of the political storyline that was going on.
He could still be the Phantom Menace if you want him to be, Matt.
Thank you. I think the two of them together, they're always like stood cloaked and, on holograms and stuff. So I don't see why, they can't both be included. And he's played by Ray Park, he also played Toad in the first X-Men.
That's true.
Almost in the same year, actually. And it's just some of the best sort of choreography and stunt work and lightsaber and just the battle in general that you also mentioned earlier.
My number 4 is Yoda. I mean, he's just epic, isn't he? I mean, why they chose to make him speak backwards, and I mean, it just worked, and he was just so cute. I always really kind of get drawn to the wise characters in a film, and he is obviously meant to be ridiculously wise, and in the prequels when he like was fighting too, I mean, it was like, oh my God, this little dude with a walking stick, and then all of a sudden he gets a lightsaber out, and you're like, no. He is not going to, and then he's just flying all over the walls, and
it is questionable as to why he had a walking
I
stick in the
know,
first
obviously
place.
didn't
Don't get it.
need one, you know,
No.
just in case he wanted to hit people with it or something, you know, throw it at someone, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is ultimately not the face of the films, but you can't think of Star Wars without Yoda.
No, that's true.
You know, he's just right there in your consciousness when you think Star Wars. So that's my number 4.
The only reason I didn't put him in my list is because I prefer him in the originals when he's gone a bit cray-cray. On Dagobah, I don't like him as a sort of serious one, and I didn't like you just said, he just suddenly jumped up and started fighting. It didn't seem very consistent in character, but at least when he was crazy, he was crazy. So my number 3 choice then, again toyed with the placement of this one, is C-3PO.
We were just talking about this before we started.
Yeah.
If any character reminds me of you, it's C-3PO, and that goes for any film, hands down. I think you are very C-3PO like. You can take that as a compliment or an insult, however you like. But yes.
Oh, thank you.
You're very C-3PO like.
Thanks. I do see the resemblance. I think that's probably why he made the list. The thing I find most hilarious in a film filled with so many aliens and robots. On the one hand, you couldn't get any more conventional and stereotypical than C-3PO.
Yeah.
You know, he's just the standard robot. But at the same time, he's one of the characters that's got the biggest personalities as well, despite his rigid physicality, and he's got permanently vacant facial expression.
And he brings so many laughs.
Well, that's it, and I think it's down to, I know he was in the suit as well for a lot of them, but the voice work of Anthony Daniels as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He's just created this really witty, sassy, sarcastic, but at the same time, you know, very nervous, flappy, and yeah, he is me, isn't he? Let's say.
He really is, yeah.
But regardless of what he does, he's never straying from etiquette and protocol, which is what he was functioned to do in the beginning. So that's quite good. And the other thing I really like about him is that he's either extremely useful to a situation or completely useless. So you never know which way it's going to go. Sometimes he's so out of place, it's hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I am number 3.
Okay. My number 3 is Princess Leia. I think Carrie Fisher, for a start, is a complete badass. And she kind of changed movie heroines from that time forward. Because she brought this sarcasm and fight to the role, and she was only young. She was really young when she made the first movie.
She's about 19.
Yeah, I think it was like 19, something like that, and yet she brought this real class to it and real wisdom, and she was such a badass, and that just carried on throughout, and she did things her way, and it was such a motivational thing for girls, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of characters like that.
And not what you expect from a princess either.
No, at all. She just took the bull by the horns and did it herself.
Yeah.
You know, and then she became a general later on. I think they took the princess part away, which I don't know. Is she still going to be Princess Leia to me?
Yeah.
But yeah, she's something that I think a lot of young girls can kind of take hold of and inspire to be like, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all.
It's a good choice. It is good.
What about your number 2 then?
Love a good number 2.
This is the one that didn't make it to your number 1.
I've changed it only because it was just a feeling in the back of my head.
Okay.
Number 2 is now Han Solo.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay. He's just a rascal though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Again, if I wasn't so similar to C-3PO, I think I'd have elements of Han Solo. He's quite, cynical, wisecracking, not necessarily as goody two-shoes as, say, some other people are. The Jedis are all very...
play by the rules, almost.
Yeah, whereas Han Solo was a law unto himself, really.
I'll just do what I want to do.
Yeah, and without losing any of that, ultimately, the films are like a redemption tale for him.
Yeah.
So he's like a space pirate, and then he becomes a rebel hero. It's an access point for us as humans.
Yeah, and I love his relationship with Chewie.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, you just want to have a bromance with it.
Yeah, it just works so well. I don't think Harrison Ford thought it was any good either when he was making it.
But that's good, really, because that played in.
Yeah, it's worked for the character as well.
I don't think Star Wars would have been half as popular as it has been if it wasn't for him.
He didn't make my list, Han Solo, unfortunately.
Really?
I've never really been a big Han Solo fan, really.
Okay.
Maybe it is the rebellion thing. Not really bothered. And like I say,
You don't like bad people.
the prequels were more my thing. So my number 2 is Anakin Skywalker.
Really?
Not as a kid, because he's just annoying as a kid. I liked Hayden Christensen. Probably because I had a big crush on Hayden Christensen at the time.
It's valid.
Yeah, I loved Anakin as a character and the battle that he went through, but he loved Padme so much, and that is what he was doing it all for in the first place. He just went down the wrong path. He didn't quite have the willpower to get himself out. I liked the story. I loved where it was going, and I was so heartbroken because you know where it's going, and obviously you've seen you know he's going to be Darth Vader, but you just wish anyway that it doesn't happen and he's okay, and you know. A lot of it's to do with the time I grew up in, and them being the Star Wars movies that I saw as a child. So yeah, I think that's why a lot of the reason why he in my heart he makes my number 2 spot.
It seems like only your family seem to like
I know, yeah, we are really, really going for Anakin Skywalker. We're on the bandwagon.
I can see what you mean, but I can't forgive the badness that surrounds him and them and that performance. So,
I don't think it's bad.
but he's nice to look at, so
I don't see it as that bad.
Who am I to say anything? Okay, then. Well, I don't know what your number one's going to be then. Okay, so my new number one, and the only reason really I didn't want to put this first is because I just thought I don't want to be that one that gets criticised. But I thought, this is about favourite, so I'm gonna bloody well do it. Okay, my number one, I've put Kylo Ren.
Okay.
Now, he's one of the more interesting characters because he's got the strongest internal conflict. So many of the characters are traditionally either very good or very bad. There's that binary, but with Kylo Ren, that line's much more ambiguous. So
yeah,
he's a reluctant villain, which I think is even more interesting.
Yes.
Not only in the sense that he's seduced by the dark side, but also he submits himself to it as a means of validation, because he does generally feel hopeless. And a bit betrayed as well. We learn that his uncle, who's meant to be his teacher, who's Luke, goes to to kill him, and he doesn't understand why. So he then convinces himself that his meaning in life is to turn on everything that he knows, kill the past, don't look back, because he's trying to fill this hole inside of him, and he just thinks, I must become as powerful as Darth Vader because that's the only way I'm going to make something of myself.
Yeah.
But regardless of all this and all of his temper tantrums and his violence,
I like the temper tantrums.
Me too. Yeah, I like it.
Very entertaining.
But despite all that, and despite how dangerous he is, he's ultimately not a bad person. You can always see, just under the surface, the goodness trying to break through. Compare Kylo Ren with his mask on to with it off. And ultimately, and you said it earlier, it's brilliantly multifaceted performance from Adam Driver.
Yes.
Who I think is an absolute highlight in these three films.
Oh yeah, the ninth one especially. Yeah, he really does bring it to that movie.
Yeah, and to simultaneously deliver the dark and the light side of a character, I just think is really impressive. And his caliber of acting was a lot higher than a lot of other people who are in these films. So I'm going to commit to it and say I think Kylo Ren is my favourite.
I don't think you'll be the only one after people have seen this film. I think there'll be a few others there. My number one is, if you know me at all, is very predictable. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh yeah.
Because I grew up with those films, and it's not Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan Kenobi, it is Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. He just did it for me in those prequel films. Like I'm drawn to wise characters, I'm very predictable. I don't like the bad characters, and I really, really like the good ones.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan is a good guy through and through. And I just love that. He was the moral compass, and I was always really drawn to that, and I was always rooting for him. The Revenge of the Sith was a really great movie for him because it changed how his perceptions of things were. This was not how it was supposed to go, and he had to move forward with the worst thing that you could possibly imagine happening, and it literally changed his entire life as a character. That was it was so sad.
Yeah, when you put it that way.
That bit where he's on that lava mountain thing and he's like, "You were my brother, Anakin." Oh my god, killed me. Killed me.
That bit is good.
Oh.
But it's so funny that, like you say, you're drawn to the good characters, and I just find good characters too similar to each other. It's so easy to be like a conventional good guy, but to then be a standout villain, and I find much more interesting.
I always like the good guys. Though, I have to admit, I was very tempted to put Adam Driver on my list today.
Yeah.
Very, very. But you have to see the film first, people.
So the people's choice then, there are 4 places again.
Yep.
There is a tie for 4th place between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
C-3PO, Kylo Ren, Anakin Skywalker, Qui-Gon Jinn, Boba Fett, Grand Moff Tarkin, Princess Leia, and Darth Vader.
I'm really pleased Qui-Gon got a vote.
Yeah. I think people like Liam Neeson though, don't they, as well?
Yeah, I like Qui-Gon Jinn.
So, another joint 3rd place,
Mm-hmm.
2 characters here, is Yoda and Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I'm not the only one who likes him then. That's okay. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm not alone.
2nd place goes to Han Solo. He's got 24% of the vote.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised he didn't win.
It is close, because the top with 28% of the vote is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Really? Oh, wicked. I thought it would have been Darth Vader, really.
Yeah.
Darth Vader or Han Solo. That tends to be people's favourites. I'm really pleased about that.
I don't even think about Obi-Wan Kenobi when I think about Star Wars. Not in the slightest. I think he's quite forgettable to me. So thank you to everyone who voted on our polls. I can confirm Obi-Wan Kenobi and Episode 5 The Empire Strikes Back are the top film and character, as voted for by you, not by us.
Okay, so Matt, what is your recommended film this week?
Ooh, okay. I tried to pick something that was somewhat related, so I picked a film that has aliens in it.
Okay.
I've picked District 9, which came out in 2009, which is by Neil Blomkamp, who is a South African director, I believe.
I haven't seen this.
Really? Right, this is good then. This is good. So, summarising, the narrative starts where you find out that a spaceship has landed and is hovering above Johannesburg in South Africa 28 years ago. And these aliens that were on there, like they're contagious or something, so they have to be kept in what they call District 9. But then in the present day, District 9's become a sort of deteriorated ghetto. It's like a slum. Humans are complaining, so they have to get relocated. And during the relocation of these aliens, the guy who's leading said relocation actually gets contaminated and starts to become one of them himself.
Oh.
The way it's done is really interesting because it's kind of found footage. It's sort of lots of news footage and CCTV cameras, which really sort of integrates the science fiction element into the real world and cleverly plays then on real world issues. So you get lots of immigration and xenophobia and segregation as well, obviously, with it being in South Africa. And one thing I read today, which I thought was great, because these aliens are nicknamed prawns, in a derogatory manner. Substitute Black, Asian, Mexican, illegal, Jew, white, or any number of different labels for the word prawn in this film, and you'll suddenly see the hidden truth behind the dialogue. And that's exactly what I got from it when I saw it. It's super clever and very funny.
I'll have to watch it.
It was a Best Picture nominee that year.
Okay, I have 2 recommendations. I'm cheating.
No, you can't.
My recommendation that links with this week is The Rise of Skywalker. I have just seen it at the cinema. I'm going to go and see it again, and I absolutely recommend you go and see it because it was really good. As far as the end of a franchise goes and wrapping up a series, it did extremely well, and it's got loads of fan servicing in it that it's just, people are going to be happy. If they're not, I just don't understand them, because it's just great. So that's my recommendation. But as it is 3 days until Christmas, I'm also going to recommend all the Christmas films.
That's cheap.
White Christmas, Muppet Christmas Carol, all the ones with the feels. Miracle on 34th Street, watched that the other day, cried. they're just great. So yes, I also recommend go and watch a Christmas film. It's 3 days till Christmas. Why aren't you watching one now?
Because they're listening to us.
Well, we're done now, so you can go and
do it
listen to one
next.
now.
You can do it
You can
next.
do that next.
So
Yeah.
just to clarify, you're recommending Star Wars Episode 9.
Yes, my main recommendation for this week is go to the cinema and see Rise of Skywalker.
Sounds good. So are you going to be watching more Christmas films up until Christmas Day then? What's the next thing you're going to watch?
I've only got one left actually
Right.
to watch, and it's A Wonderful Life.
Oh yes, right.
So that is probably going to be the next one. Either that or weirdly, Daddy's Home, because every year for the last couple of years, we've watched Daddy's Home 2, which is actually a Christmas film. We watched it at the cinema in 2017 when it came out, and we liked it so much, me and my husband, when we saw it, that we thought it'd be a great movie to watch on Christmas Day. So last year, we watched it on Christmas Day. And obviously had to watch Daddy's Home beforehand, just so that we got the whole story. So possibly may watch Daddy's Home, just so we're ready for Christmas Day.
Okay. Well, coming up next week, it's going to be the end of the year, so we're going to be doing our top 10 of 2019. And just to throw a curveball in there, I've said that we're going to do the top 10 of the decade as well.
Just to make it difficult.
What it means is to prepare for the end of the year, I'm going to have to try and sweep up as much as I can, just in case anything poses a threat to my current top 10. So The Two Popes is now out. I'm going to try and see The Aeronauts, Lucy in the Sky has not been mentioned this year.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be.
No. There's a load of films I'm going to have to probably miss out on because I've just not had the opportunity or they've not been showing me. Honey Boy, I've not seen Ford versus Ferrari, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I probably won't get to see Little Women, and I probably won't get to see Cats, which is currently boasting a 2.7 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
I will definitely be seeing Little Women. We've bumped it from the Boxing Day slot at the cinema to the 27th.
Yeah.
So that, I reckon that'll probably definitely make my list. And I can pretty much probably guarantee that Star Wars is making it.
Oh, well, don't give anything away. The other thing as well, which is going to make it even more fun, is that the next time we record, the Golden Globes would have happened. So we also need to put in our Golden Globe predictions.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we nearly forgot about that one. So it's going to be a podcast in 3 parts.
Yes.
To cram it all in.
Year, decade, and Golden Globe predictions. Whew.
That's right. Yeah.
It's going to be a hell of an episode, that one.
It is.
Wow.
But in the meantime, where can you find us? We're on Facebook and YouTube, CineChat Podcast, Instagram at CineChat_official. We're on Twitter at CineChatPod. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, or Spreaker. Or you can email us at
CineChatOfficial@gmail.com.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Yes.
Wonderful. The next time you'll hear us will be New Year's Eve, scary as that may be. But in the meantime, may the force be with you. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye for me. Have a lovely Christmas.
Merry Christmas.